Hey everybody, welcome back to Flatbroke Outdoors. Today I am bringing you another diesel heater. This one is from BSMTEK. I'm not brand new, never taken it out of the box yet. We're going to look at this one together, y'all. So let's get it out and see what it's got going on. We will see exactly what's happening together. Y'all know that I don't just be bringing y'all stuff that doesn't matter to me, and I think it, if I'm going to do a review on it, it needs to matter to me and to y'all. So, well, I got the thing packaged up well. Not quite sure what's in that box. So it is definitely securely packaged, kids. See if I can catch it by one of the carrying handles here. Oh, got an installation manual. All right, let's see what we're working with, boys and girls. Aluminum case. Side exhaust, which is super cool. I love that side exhaust on the some of these more advanced diesel heaters. I think they've come a long way. Let's see just right off here. It's got a 9-liter fuel tank, kids. That's 2.5 gallons. That's pretty cool. It's already got some rubber feet mounted on it. So let's see. So it does have a smaller heat output. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on there. See, it is both, well, it's 12 volt, 24 volt, or 110 and 240. So you can use this just about anywhere. It's got a nice fuel gauge on the front of it, little window where you can look, see how many percents of fuel you got left. Man, 9 liters, that's huge. Let's check out this cap. Sometimes these caps ain't so good. Whoa, wait a minute. Not quite sure what's going on there. It does have a fuel screen, which is good. Everybody knows diesel fuel is kind of dirty. Not quite sure what's going on here. That's like the little breather. Not quite sure what that is. But anyway, it's got a little splash guard for the breather hole. So hopefully it is not allowing fuel to splash out. My old diesel heater, I don't know if y'all can see it back here in the corner. That's my old one, the one I heat my garage with. And you can't even screw the cap down tight. You get it tight and it just pops and keeps going around and around. So it will definitely spill fuel all in the back of your truck or whatever you're hauling it in. But this one has a nice rubber seal. Very pliable, and it's cold out here, kids. Very pliable rubber seal that goes down like that. And then you screw your cap on. And it tightens right up. How about that? You rascal. That's my bad there. There we go. I wasn't pushing down. It does have a remote control. It's the basic 4-button on, off, up and down remote control. The power supply, positive, negative on the back. So that's pretty old school, but handy. Just unscrew these. So I'm assuming in this box is where we're going to find our power cords. all aluminum side exhaust. Now the display does not come out. A lot of them you can just pull the display out on a wire, and like if you had it inside your vehicle, you could put your thing up where you could see it, read it comfortably, and adjust it. But this one's built right in there, so that's not an option. So we've got the user manual here and the remote. Let's look inside this box, see kind of what we got going on here. Get my trusty dagger back out. Guys, you know, I think there are diesel heaters for every budget on the market currently. And I'm happy about that because, you know, a lot of people can't, even if they wanted to go out and buy some of the super expensive ones, they just can't. And that's the world we live in, you know, and I'm that guy. I can't do that. There's your classic muffler with the weep hole in the bottom. So when I'll show more about it when I attach it to this, but there's a proper way to install that some people overlook. Now, I'm going to guess that there's probably a power supply in this box. We're going to find out. Feels like it might be the AC power supply. Or a power supply line, anyway. Ooh, that's noisy. Yep, that's exactly what we got going on, kids. On this end, it has the two little terminals already on it, and you just put the red one to the red terminal and the black one to the black terminal. Plug this into your wall, extension cord, AC side of your power station, and that'd be that. You won't need that any longer. All right, we've got the this goes on the end of the heat hose, so you can direct what direction you want your heat to go in. And then it has the classic, I need to grab my tape measure. I don't really know what size that opening is, but it's different than any diesel heater I've ever had. It's a smaller opening. Then you've got, you've got all your hardware here. Your hose clamps, your breather tube cover. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not quite sure what that is, kids. This one doesn't have the classic breather tube like the old diesel heaters. You know, you had your exhaust come out the bottom, and then right beside it you had a breather tube that came out, and it really looked like a cardboard hose, and this little filter thing here would go on the end of it. But this one isn't set up that way, so we're going to have to do some reading in the old manual. All right, kids, and here we have the DC cable and a wayward screw that fell out of the package. Anyway, so what I have done in the past with the DC cable, because I run my power station on a battery, on a 12-volt lithium battery. So what I did, I would take this cable. It's got two ends, and they're already ready. They're stripped. You just pull that off, and I would wire a cigarette lighter plug, but I would get a 15 amp one instead of the 10, and typically it would be fused. But anyway, I would wire that on here, and that way I could run my DC, and it was just perfect for what I had going on. And then we have the old exhaust pipe. Now remember, if you get one of these things and you're getting it out of the box, when you go to straighten your exhaust pipe, do it very gingerly, because this metal, it's not super strong. So if you need to bend it manipulate it one way or another, be nice to it, because you can definitely cause yourself some drama. Now let's get into this. Get into this manual up front. See what we can learn about this thing. Because short of going and getting my tape measure and measuring this input, you'll see how small that is. It almost feels like about a 3-inch input, which the majority of them are 3.5 and 4-inch. We're gonna see. Got air. All right, it's got right up front in English. It's the installation guide to how to set it up, everything you got going on here. It explains everything, the fuel tank, just anything you could think of. One of my concerns is this thing sitting right on top. Is that going to be water resistant? I don't know. So we're going to find out. Let's see. What we got here? Set the time on it. There's 3 settings to the fuel pump. That's another thing that I'm interested to see, if it has the updated fuel pump in it. Like the old school ones, you get that tick, 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 tick. Like the one I've been using in here, unless you're running it on all the way wide open on the number 10 setting, you're going to hear that fuel pump just banging, tick, tick, tick. But the faster you speed it up, the faster it goes. So it just kind of smooths out like a sewing machine, but it can be irritating when you're trying to sleep. It's got 4 fan speeds. It's a really straightforward very straightforward manual. Gives you a nice breakdown of all the parts and pieces in here. And I appreciate that, because if you're somebody who's lightly mechanically inclined and you have anything go wrong with a diesel heater, you can pretty much figure it out. But it helps if you need parts to have a manual to explain what the part that you need is. And they've got really good diagrams in here. I probably should have gave this the once over before I started talking to y'all about it, but man, this manual goes in depth, step by step, on basically rebuilding this entire thing. And I think that's pretty cool. It does have the fault codes listed in here. So if you have any trouble with it and it throws an error code of some kind, so that's pretty cool. And then it goes to another language that I do not understand. So this is fitting for many different countries, as far as I think. But diesel heaters are very straightforward. It doesn't take a super genius to get them set up. I love the fact that this one has the larger fuel tank. That is awesome. And sometimes having the simpler remote control like this takes a lot of headache out of it. Some people are very gadgety kind of people. I'm not that guy. I don't mind a simple remote control like this. I'm all right with it. A lot of people don't like that. It is not going to tell me how wide that inlet is, which is lightly concerning to me. So I've got another air pipe over here off another diesel heater that I have. If I can get over here without breaking my neck. So this is standard on most of the diesel heaters I have, and this pipe will go right inside it. So that shows you the size difference in the two. So y'all give me a minute. Let me grab my tape measure and we'll measure this thing because I got to know. All right, y'all, I got a tape measure. Let's just see about this. It's a 3-inch. 3-inch. So voila. Let me grab a screwdriver here. We'll go ahead and put this thing together right quick. Let's see if we can't make it work. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll just test it right here in the old garage. I'll just have to pull my other diesel heater out of the way over there and hook this one up. See if we can make it work. All right, so that's the way that goes. Turn the old heater here. Oh, it's even got a little rubber cap to go over that so you don't get something all up into your exhaust. Nope. Yep. A bag of goodies. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. I'm trying to let y'all see it. But like I said, you don't have to be a genius to get these things in go mode. We got all that good and tight. I'm not gonna install the muffler, you know, the muffler on there, just because I don't need it. I'll show y'all in a second when we get ready to hook this thing up. I have a marine exhaust port through that steel door right there, and that's how I exhaust it outside. And we'll get closer to that in a minute. But what I am going to do, I am going to go ahead and wire up a 12-volt plug on this, and then I'll always be able to plug it into my battery. So y'all bear with me for a second and I'll get that fixed up. All right, kids, now that we got that done, let's go ahead and get this bad boy hooked up on here. Let me get this turned where y'all can possibly see what I'm doing here. There we go. Put that over there. So we're just gonna whoa! Lost my washer, y'all. We don't want to lose our washer. We'll put our red wire on the red terminal. Come outside. And we'll take our black one, put it on the black terminal. Well, you know, everything just seems a little more difficult when your hands are a little chilly. All right, we got it all fixed up. I'll tell you what, fellas and ladies, I am going to get some fuel in this bad boy, and I'll get it hooked up over there, and we'll see how she works. All right, everybody, we got it over here. Got it powered up. I'm using that battery right there. The exhaust goes right through this exhaust port. Here's the screen. So when I plugged it in, it was ready to roll. I don't know if there's a way to get it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I haven't read far enough in the book yet, but we've got it started up now. Set on number 4. I filled it all the way up. So when you start these things, they go through a cycle. You know, the glow plug has to heat up, and then that ignites the fuel and blah, blah, blah. You know how that all works. So when it gets up and running, we'll get to hear how that fuel pump is. We should be able to hear it in just a minute or two. I don't know how fast the heat up is on this particular one. Maybe 3 to 5 minutes startup cycle, but we'll see. It's set on heat mode number 4 right now, but what we're going to, like I said, I filled the tank all the way up, 2.5 gallons. So we're going to let this thing run on high until the fuel is gone. So we'll know what kind of time you can get out of 2.5 gallons on high. When it's cold, I don't know where y'all are, but I'm currently in Wisconsin, so super cold. So my last camping trip, I ran my diesel heater on high a lot, and the tank on that one was just shy of this. It was about 2 gallons, but anyway, it had pretty good run time. So we're going to find out what's going on here. So there is air coming out here, but it's cold, it's still in the heat up cycle. Another thing, this thing has these fold down handles. The handles look like they're pretty well constructed, so that's a good thing. Look, y'all hear that? The diesel, the fuel pump just kicked in. It's honestly really quiet for a fuel pump. We'll see once it warms up. Like on my other diesel heater, the up-to-date version like this one, once the initial startup happened, you couldn't hear the fuel pump anymore. And I'll be anxious to see if this one is like that. I hope it is. All right, we'll give it just a few more minutes to get up and getting some heat pumping, and I'll get right back to you. All right, y'all, this is where that exhaust comes out, that steel door. And it is exhausting nicely with no smoke coming out, so that's great. So we'll go back in and check on it. All right, y'all. So we got it running. It took about 4 minutes for it to self-prime the fuel pump. I've got it all the way up on 10. It is roughly 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 a.m. We are going to let this bad boy run until it can't run anymore, and we'll see what kind of air time we get out of it, and I'll get back with y'all as quick as that's done. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's 24 hours later, or just a little over 24 hours later. Yesterday I set this thing and just went about my business, and I had set it on high when I did it, but then I had some other stuff I had to do out here, and it had gotten so warm in here, I couldn't stand it, so I turned it down. So it still has quite a lot of fuel left in it for having ran so long. So I did have some time to read up on some more information in the manual last night, because what we did yesterday was, straight out of the box. Y'all learned as I learned. That's kind of what happened. But a few things, it is completely waterproof. So if you're using it outside and it snows or rains on you and you have it outside your vehicle, you're going to be completely fine. Completely fine. A couple of upsides to it that I like is the amount of fuel that it holds. The more fuel it'll hold, the longer it's going to run, and the less you have to fuel it up. And typically, my camping trips are 2 to 3 days. So, that's generally 2 days, sometimes three, and on the rare occasion, just an overnight. But I can fill this thing up one time and be fine. I can actually fill it up before I go and not bring a 5 gallon jug of diesel fuel with me because this has the capacity to run the entire time I'm gone. So that's great. Another thing, the the fuel cap. I shook this thing around. There's no fuel coming out that cap. So that's a plus. Now on my old antique one over there, if you got it more than half full of fuel and you got it just sitting in the back of your truck and you're going to your campsite, wherever, fuel is going to slosh out that cap. And the cap never tightens up. And I don't know if I showed y'all that on this one. Look, you can tighten it up and it just skips the thread, and tighten it up again, it just skips the thread. It's kind of a real pain in the butt. But this one, you don't have that trouble. It's got that rubber seal on there. You tighten that cap down, it seals to that rubber. It's splash proof, not splash resistant. So that's a plus. The side exhaust I find is a huge plus, and the way that it heat my garage. This is, I don't know, maybe 800 or 900 square feet. It's well insulated, but you know, uh, it gets cold in here too. But like I said yesterday, I had this thing fired up. I had come out here to do some other things, and it was warm in here. So I just went ahead and shut it down, not turned it off, just lowered it down. So in conclusion, I am going to make this my designated garage heater. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, the big fuel tank. We touched on that. And number two, how simple it is to use. See, if I set this, say, on whatever I want, I can set it on high. And if I'm not home, if I'm off on a camping adventure somewhere and it's been snowing, I come home, my wife comes into the garage. If she wants to melt the snow and ice off of her car, all she's got to do is take this remote and hit the on button. And I feel like she can be confident that the heater's going to kick on, and everything's going to be just fine. Because right out of the box, I never primed that fuel pump, and this does have the super quiet fuel pump. You do not hear that fuel pump running. Once the fuel pump primed itself, which it took a few minutes for it to prime, but once that happened, it was hush after that. So I feel like it's got the super quiet fuel pump, which is, man, there's such a difference. If I had a minute, I would hook that one up and turn it on, and y'all could hear the way that thing tick, tick, tick. It is just irritating as all get out. But this one, the only thing you can hear is the fan running in the back a little bit. It's not loud. Even when you turn it up on high, it's not super loud. And then you can hear the exhaust going out the door. But other than that, it's fine. I am going to make a forever home for it up on this metal shelf to get it up out of the floor. That way it's not in my way. And I probably will have to buy a longer exhaust pipe, but that's fine. But it's done such a great job and very simple to use. It's a 4-button remote. I don't know if you've never seen excuse me, a diesel heater remote. It's very clearly marked on there. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but it's on, off, up, and down. So if you want more heat, you hit the plus button. You want less heat, you hit the negative button, and then it's off and on. You hit the off button, it's gonna cycle through its the going off series. It doesn't take that long for it to shut off, and that fan will blow until it cools everything. So when this thing shuts down and it's not on anymore, it's completely cool to the touch. Even the exhaust pipe cools off, which is, that's something strange. You wouldn't think you'd be able to move it or load it in your truck or anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit the off button on it, and you'll hear it start to wind down. You'll kind of hear that everything just winds down, but the fan's continuing to run. It's just running slower, and it's going to cool off all those internals and make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. And that way, when you get ready to go, you can just hit that on switch, and 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, it's ready to roll. It just does it all on its own, and I'm confident in this heater as of now. It's going to get it is wintertime here in Wisconsin, and I do a lot of stuff in the garage, so this thing's going to get a workout. And I may take this to the field. I may take it on a camping trip just to see how it does, but I'm confident enough I want to keep it as my garage heater, and that means a lot. So anyway, I think I'm going to draw this to a close right here. I appreciate everybody watching, and all the information for this particular diesel heater and their Amazon store website, all those links will be in the description. I don't have anything bad to say about it. You hear it ramping up. It's cooling everything off. Now that's been running on that 12-volt battery all night, and it's done fine. Hasn't taken hardly anything away from that battery. But this particular model also will do 120. It's got a excuse me, house plug, and I'm going to hook that up. There's a plug-in behind this cabinet, and then it'll just be a set it and forget it kind of deal. And most likely it won't run out here 24/7. So I'm probably not going to have to add fuel to it very much at all. Maybe once a week or something. I do a lot of stuff out here, but like I said, it didn't take it long to knock the chill off. And then over the course of some hours, it got super warm in here. So I'm happy with it. And I think I'm going to end this video right here. Thanks for watching.